Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scout Selections here for Tuesday, March 3rd. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. We ended up picking up a loss with John Morant over 7.5 assists, which was available on FanDuel at minus 124. Line ended up going up to roughly minus 140 on FanDuel before opening tip, so we got a good line on that. But unfortunately, the Grizzlies ended up opening up a 30-point lead in the second half, and Morant only played 24 minutes. Pretty unfortunate. He was at 5 assists, but because of game flow, he ended up not playing in the second half pretty much at all, as Memphis ended up outscoring Atlanta by, I believe it was 36 points in the second half alone. Pretty ugly. Game turned into a bloodbath, but either or, we'll be looking for a bounce-back play that a winner here on Tuesday. Now, for today's card, not really a fan of anything in terms of spreads in either the NBA or college. A lot of interesting spots in college. You have a couple of conference tournaments starting today, so stay tuned for those. Try to pay attention if those are in neutral sites or not. Keep that in mind because that could definitely impact the point spread if you have not considered looking at that already. In terms of the play of the day, though, we're going to be looking at a player prop in a matchup between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New Orleans Pelicans, and we like the Zion Williamson over 26.5 points, which is available on FanDuel at minus 106, and that will be the play of the day. Now, a couple of reasons why we like Zion in this spot. First reason is because of the fact that Zion has actually been scoring at will lately, and we think he should be able to continue that trend. If you've looked at his last 4 games, he scored at least 28 points in 3 of his last 4 games. But if you've also gone even further back, ever since he missed the February 8th game against the Pacers due to rest, 3, 5, 6, 7. He's gone over 26.5 5 of the 7 times. So I think you should see him continue that trend against one of the worst defenses in the entire league. The total for this game is currently at 247.5, which is one of the highest totals I've ever seen outside of an All-Star game. Minnesota plays at the fastest pace ever since they got rid of Andrew Wiggins, and they play virtually no defense, where New Orleans also plays at one of the fastest paces in the entire league. I think the only way that Zion does not get there is if you have a massive blowout, which is possible, but Zion is still playing at least 30-something minutes a game, and I think he should be able to score at least 27 points. Minnesota defensively has been an absolute disaster with Towns out of the lineup. I know Naz Reid is a decent center in terms of defense. He does block shots occasionally, but he's averaging 0.6 blocks, really not an amazing rim protector. He's got a lot of size on him. But the main issue I have here is that Hernangomez, who is the power forward for this team, is averaging 0.2 blocks per game, really an underwhelming defensive player. And with him guarding Zion and Zion weighing a lot more than he does, I think he should be able to have a very solid game. If you've also looked at the Timberwolves lately, even though they only... plus it is worth mentioning that Hernangomez is only 6'9", so he does... he's not exactly the tallest power forward, and I think Zion will just absolutely exploit him for at least... I'd say 30-plus minutes, however long he's going to be on the court. I think this game will turn into a track meet. The Pelicans' team totals at roughly 130, and I think if the Pelicans are going to reach that total of 130, I think Zion will probably need to go for at least 30 points. The issue you have there is if Ingram is going to ball hog potentially and take up a lot of shots. But at the end of the day, I know Zion in a very transition-based game between these two teams, I expect to see Zion just outrun his defender, and I think you should see him catch a decent amount of lobs, get a decent amount of rebounds, and get a decent amount of opportunities in the low post. Now, the main issue you might run into is also going to be his free throw shooting, as he has been relatively inconsistent, but he did go 11 of 13 from the foul line in his last game against the Lakers, en route to 35 points. Overall, Zion's just too much to deal with for the Timberwolves, and I think that he should go for at least 30. So for that reason, the play of the day once again is going to be on Zion Williamson, over 26.5 points, and that line is available on FanDuel at minus 106. Now, looking at some of the lines on today's card, a lot of movement here in the NBA. I'm going to lean to the Clippers minus 5 against the Thunder. They've gone from minus 2.5 to minus 5. Game is in Oklahoma City, but the Clippers have been the much better team all season long. And the Clippers, now that they are fully healthy with Beverly, Paul George, and Kawhi on the court at the same time, look pretty much unstoppable. And I don't think that Oklahoma City has enough offensive firepower to deal with them, so lean to the Clippers there. Other than that, I'm going to lean to the Celtics minus 6 against the Nets. Jason Tatum likely will be out, but the Celtics should be getting Kemba Walker back into the lineup, and the Nets have been playing some really awful basketball lately, and I think that that trend will continue. Lean to the Celtics -6 in TD Garden. Other than that, lean to the Raptors -4.5 as they take on the Phoenix Suns. Both teams are in the middle of 3-game losing streaks, but Toronto's been the much better team. Phoenix somehow lost to Golden State in their last game. I'm going to lean to the Raptors. They have the Celtics breathing down their neck in the division. They need this win. Lean to the Raptors on that one. Other than that, though, pretty much it for the NBA card. So we're going to transition here to college basketball. Looking at the card, I'm going to lean to the under 130 between Maine and Hartford. These teams played each other 2 weeks ago, and the game totaled roughly 105 points, and now the total is currently at 130. I think it's a bit too high. I think this game will get into the 110s, 120s. I think this total is too high, though. Lean to the under on that one. Other than that, I'm going to lean to Bucknell -13 against Holy Cross. Holy Cross, one of the worst teams in the entire country, and it's currently the first round of the conference tournament in the Patriot League. Bucknell just beat this team by about 20, and I think you should see them win this game pretty easily. So lean to Bucknell on that one. Other than that, I'm going to lean to Michigan State -1.5 against Penn State. Even though Penn State is at home, they've lost 3 of 4, and Michigan State's actually been playing solid basketball lately. I'm not going to have any money on it personally because I really just don't trust the Michigan State team, but they did just beat Maryland in Maryland, and Penn State is struggling. Michigan State also looking for revenge after losing at home to Penn State in East Lansing earlier this season. I think this game will be close, but at the end of the day, I think that Michigan State will make enough plays down the stretch. Lean to Michigan State on that one. Other than that, what else do I like here? I think the Rutgers game is interesting. I would lean to Rutgers -1 against Maryland. Rutgers has lost 1 game at home all season long, and Maryland's coming off a disappointing showing against Michigan State. Plus, they probably should have lost the game before that at Minnesota before a double-digit comeback late in the second half. I'm going to lean to Rutgers. I think they should be able to get the job done in front of their home crowd. Lean to the Scarlet Knights on that one. And other than that, I'm going to lean to Kentucky -8.5 against Tennessee. Kentucky's been rolling lately. People might not have noticed, but they probably will be a 2 seed going into the NCAA tournament, potentially a 1. I'm probably going to bet on them plus 200 to win the conference tournament. That might be a play of the day in the upcoming future. Leave a comment below if you do want me to do some conference tournament futures that I could discuss with some value on them. So leave a comment below if you want me to do that in some additional videos. But I'll lean to Kentucky there. They already beat Tennessee on the road by double digits earlier this season. I think they should be able to put together a good performance in Rupp. And Tennessee just doesn't have the offensive firepower, in my opinion, to stay with the Wildcats. So lean to Kentucky on that one. But the play today, once again, is going to be on Zion Williamson over 26.5 points, which is available on FanDuel at -106. That's going to be the installment of Scott's Selections here for Tuesday, March 3rd. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.